Out of town now and to a property that's played a major role in the history of the region, Brindabella Station. The former home of author Miles Franklin, of Blue Hills writer Gwen Meredith and of journalist Richard Carleton is up for sale. Tenders closed today, but it seemed a timely opportunity to have a look around the property and recall some of its stories. Kate Evans was a guest of the current owners.
Well, here we are on Graves Hill, overlooking Brindabella Homestead and our property. And Graves Hill is where some of the early pioneers were buried. But Brindabella Station was much, much bigger in years gone by. It was 250,000 acres that the Franklins squatted on in 100 years ago. We've got National Park virtually all to the west of us. That's the Kosciuszko National Park. To the north is Brindabella National Park, and to the east is Bimbury Nature Reserve, and beyond that, Namadgi. My father first introduced me to the valley, and he'd been coming here since the 30s. So, yes, I was certainly here learning to fish by 1944.
How old were you then? I
was 4 years old. We had the opportunity to buy some land here at Brindabella about 1978, I think it was, and we bought this property in 1984. I thought this opportunity only ever comes up once in a lifetime if you're lucky, so yes, we jumped at it. We have cattle, we had a few sheep in the beginning, and of course, bearing in mind the history and the guest house that used to be here, we ran a guest house here for many years. Miles Franklin came here as a young baby. Her mother rode side saddle from Talbingo, where her mother had been assisted with the birth, I assume, and she lived in her father and mother's place. That's about a mile further south. She was rather precocious, I understand, and Charles Blythe, the tutor employed by Thomas Franklin, her uncle, took a liking to her and certainly encouraged her writing. You don't have to read Childhood of Brindabella or any of the books which are supposedly fiction, but there's so much real history in all those, particularly the Brent of Bin Bin series. All her books contain so much that actually occurred to the Franklins or their range of friends and acquaintances. It was a hard life. Miles Franklin talks about getting her little garden going and her mother's garden, but they did a lot of preserves and pretty well self-sufficient. So it's certainly different from our lifestyle today, when Canberra's only an hour away or less, and we get mail deliveries twice a week.
The ABC presents Blue Hills by Gwen Meredith.
It's the day of Granny's 90th birthday, and there's been a great deal of excitement.
And Gwen Meredith, the writer of Blue Hills, also lived in the valley.
Yeah, she lived for long periods of her life writing Blue Hills, and many people were able to relate events, supposedly fictional events, that were in fact related to real events that were taking place in the valley during that period of time.
Brian, we're sitting here by the Digby River. This is a special part of Brindabella Station that I think Richard Carleton in particular really loved.
Yes, he did. He would have explored the whole length of the river, right down from the top down to Wee Jasper. He liked fishing. He liked fishing particularly in this area that he had later on. And when he died, his family requested that his ashes be scattered here in the river, adjacent to the part he loved so much. He loved to come back here, even after he sold to us. He loved to come back here fairly frequently. He just liked the world of solitude of the valley, get away from the hectic journalist life in Canberra, I guess. I don't think the valley would be the same without the river, but the mountains, it's always enchanting to come over the ridge from Canberra or Tumut and into the valley. It's just something about the mountain country.
Wilhelmina, the homestead here is more than 100 years old. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the house?
That's correct. It was built in 1900s by Thomas Franklin. Miles Franklin, his niece, used to come here to be taught by Thomas Franklin's teacher, who was actually teaching his children as well. But she actually wasn't taught in here. She was taught in another buildings, which they were in front of the house here, but they got burnt in 1934 on a kitchen fire. It was unoccupied for 3 or 4 years, so things were in a petty bit wide. Basically, the building was good, was solid enough, but things had to be fixed. So, in which we're trying to keep it the way it was, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, it took a bit of work. The work we did, that had a big impact on me because I come from, basically from a city, and I had to learn a lot about everything, you know, from growing things to gardening to look after the place, and I was completely naive about everything. But I learned a lot, and it's been a great schooling for me. There has been a lot of people coming after we bought it and had different relations to the house. So all different people come and tell us, look, I did this and here, and I did that and there, and, you know, all that is very interesting.
Beautiful. Jump up. Come on, up.
The wildlife is fantastic. You know, we have a lot of, I think we got something like 47 different varieties of birds. I love the king parrots and the little wrens, the fire-tailed finches. They all got their own beauty. All the platypus in the river and the wombats at night and all the different types of wallaroos and kangaroos, and they all come to the house. We had beautiful 26 years, so I'm very appreciative that I was privileged to be able to live here for that long. But let's hope that it's looked after and it's kept, because it would be a great pity to lose something like this. It's got to be kept.